Motorcyclists are geeks. We talk in riddles and secretly, and we love it. There are of course levels of geekdom in the hierarchy, and the absolute top of the podium is reserved without question for followers of Yamaha V-twin TZR250. Yamaha produced 11 different versions of the V-twin TZR250 between 1991 and 1999. To most of us they all look identical, but to those in the know, there are significant differences that make a big difference in value too. Knowing the difference between an R, RS, SP, SPR, or any of the annual updates in between won't get you more girls or increased wealth, but it does mean you'll be on a level with the salesman when you buy one, and smarter than the chancer trying to sell you his on eBay. Trying to pick the best early 1990s two-stroke 250 GP replica is a bit like deciding whether to have your lottery winnings in 20 pounds or 50 pounds notes. They're all brilliant. Make that absolutely brilliant, and they are all special in their own ways. Suzuki's RGV250 has the poise and the package. Honda NSR 250 has the gloss, the build quality, and the class. Kawasaki's KR1S has the speed, and Yamaha's V-twin TZR250R has the handling, the brakes, and the featherweight agility. Japanese 250s were restricted to 45 brake horsepower and 160 km/h. Yamaha made the most of the restriction by packing out the TZR midrange to make it drive hard out of corners and use everything the beautiful chassis had to give. 29 pound-feet of torque doesn't sound much, but is 10 to 20% up on the TZR competition. Derestriction was difficult and expensive 25 years ago when the bikes were new. Now there is plenty of knowledge out there, but not much hope, because it involves fairly extensive part swapping. Yamaha claimed that the V-twin TZR crankcases were identical to their 250 GP bike. Clearly they had their fingers crossed behind their backs at this point, but we understood their point. Bore and stroke measures were similar to Suzuki's RGV 250 of the time, and Yamaha designed the TZR around the 45 brake horsepower restriction by tuning it for low-end power and mid-range, rather than building a screamer and lopping off the top end. The built-to-race SP version has different cylinders, heads, exhausts, and electrics to enable it to make serious power, but you still have to derestrict it to find that power. The TZR had the sharpest steering geometry, shortest wheelbase, and least mass of any of the 250s. It also had the most cramped riding position, and in standard trim the suspension was good but not spectacular. Ridden with commitment, a fit and healthy TZR250R will outturn pretty much any other road-going motorcycle, and the mid-range power lets it pull away from the other 252 strokes exiting the corner too. 27 years ago this was a revolution. 27 years later, it's still a unique experience that challenges your riding ability and rewards the effort when you get it right. Suspension will either be very tired and desperately waiting for someone to replace its 20-year-old fork oil, or will have been recently refreshed as part of an expensive and extensive restoration. Fingers crossed for the latter, but don't get your hopes up. Road testers of the time described the way this TZR stopped as the best you could ever experience, and they probably meant it. Twin 4-piston calipers with only 126 kilograms to stop had a relatively easy time of it. Fast forward to 2019 and braking technology has improved hand over fist. It's one of the biggest differences between old bikes and new ones. With a set of appropriately sticky tires and freshly rebuilt calipers, a V-twin TZR will still stop well though. Here's hoping you still weigh the same 10 stone you did as a teenager. None of the 250 race replicas were comfortable, but Yamaha's original 1986 TZR made a passable attempt at practicality. By 1991 we were more interested in performance, and comfort didn't matter. Scrunching up on a TZR250R is a price worth paying because you only ride it for 50 miles at a time before stopping for a rest. Or indicators, mirrors, maybe some teeny storage under the seat for your bottle of oil. In 1991, only BMWs had ABS. Traction and control were two words yet to be put together, and the idea of a device that stopped you doing wheelies would have prompted the kind of hysterical laughter we only saw on mashed potato adverts on the telly. In the hierarchy of 250cc race replicas, Yamaha TZR250R stands with Honda's NSR 250 MC28 as the pinnacle of racing authenticity and desirability. They are easier to come by, but harder to buy because there were so many different versions. Yamaha's paint schemes of the time weren't as classy as the Honda, but the riding experience is every bit as special.